I'm trying to get RJ to retire.
Did you? Yeah, I think RJ needs to retire for
I know.
just the sake of himself and his family because, like,
Thank you.
dude,
That's exactly what I said last week.
How old? 29?
I don't give a shit how old he is.
27.
He can be 21.
27 or 20.
He needs to retire.
I'm on the
Well, he
board
can
with you.
retire.
I'm just looking
Give
at
me
it
one reason why.
because he's had a lot of concussions, man.
Did you
so
watch?
have I.
Did you watch that crash last week?
Yeah, he crashes.
How many times do I got to watch him do this before he cannot pick up his little girl?
That's what I'm nervous about. I
Like,
don't really
this is
care about.
The risk is definitely there.
The
but
risk
he
is
doesn't
all-
crash that fucking much.
Is that a joke?
Maybe he just needs.
Do you
to,
watch the same races we do?
Man, hey, he was good on the 4. He didn't crash on the 450. Maybe just the 450. He'll be like, you know what? It's a lot of power. I'm good.
Calm him down some.
I'm on board with you. I don't want to see any of these dudes retire if they're not like
That
they're-
Dilla wreck was
But
bad.
I don't want to see him for the sake of his family
Yes.
not being able to be there in his kid's life folder because he doesn't remember his name.
I literally was back channeling, trying to be like, "Hey, we need to talk to this kid and get him to just call it."
Call Eric and RJ are buddies.
I know.
You should have just called Eric.
This guy,
Pretty sure Eric and RJ probably have already had this conversation.
Way
at some
to
point.
blow out my back channeling.
this man has worked his whole entire life to get where he is.
Well, he should go to the MLB because it's much safer than what he's doing right now.
He didn't get into it because it's fucking safe.
All right, can we
I
get back
know
to silly
that.
season? All of a sudden, this got off way.
I got no problem with where we're at right now because this is something that as racers, especially as 30s racers, and when the family stuff gets involved, everyone has to face it. And it's really interesting. You get Ryan Dungey kind of guys. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of different ways guys handle it, right? Eli
Yeah.
Tomac is one of the first champions we've ever seen that had children already. Mm-hmm. One of the very first ones. So to think about where he is in his life, like late 20s, I don't know how old he is, let's say 27. To be already thinking about that, okay, how do I handle this for the next 70 years of my family? Because you're not done with fulfilling your legacy yet. Your legacy after racing is a whole different ballgame, but for now, he's right fucking there. He's so fast. So if you're gonna be thinking about hanging him up, well, that's already kind of if it's in your head, you're kind of halfway there.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm just saying, as many times as I've seen RJ ragdoll, because RJ doesn't just tip over.
Yeah, like me, right?
He ragdolls himself into the fucking ground in a bad way.
Yeah.
And like I said, normally, I fully accept. I've accepted this for a long time since I rode street bikes, and I accepted that a car can run me over and I can be fucking dead tomorrow. Like, I accept that there is a level of risk to what the fuck we do on two wheels, period,
There is.
end of discussion. But there comes a point where that level of risk and how your luck is going with stuff that you got to really look in the mirror. I mean, does he have millions and millions of dollars in the bank? No. Has he made
Maybe.
a decent amount of money doing what he's doing? Probably.
Six-figure contract for a long time.
You got a beautiful wife. You got beautiful kids. Like, dude, it's time.
I think he's gonna run out his Husky contract, and then I do think he does retire after his Husky contract's up because he got a 2-year deal.
Like
Yeah,
I said,
I
I just hope
yeah.
it ends that way and not
Yeah.
in a bad way.
What's Zach Osborne say?
About what?
Well, he was a similar situation his whole career, and then he ended it at the pinnacle because he stuck with it and won a championship when he had children, right? So if you're they're on the same fucking team, but if you're really considerate, like there are very few people you can talk to if you're RJ. There are very few because there's a bunch of other jabronis that are gonna. Oh, you should fucking hang him up. I'm like, well, who the hell are you to say, right? Like, nobody is in his circle has been there except for him, and maybe one or two racers in the history of our sport, right? So, like, it's real. He's got to really be careful with how he handles this, because once you pull, like, oh, I'm going to take a season off, you're not going to Ryan Dungey back your way back in and be...
Dude, the last 3 that I remember from him, he impaled himself on a stake at an outdoor
And decided to ride with internal bleeding.
and decided to
was
ride with
RJ?
internal bleeding. Yes.
The only person I could think of was Kyle Riegel that did that.
High
He
point?
then
Yeah.
he then
Yeah,
crashed.
I don't
He then
know.
crashed at A2 this year and had internal bleeding that they didn't find for like 3 days, and that was a real bad deal. Because he was really fucked up from that.
Yeah, that
for
was
a
bad.
while.
That was one actually that it could have actually killed him.
And now he corkscrews himself into the ground. Oh,
One of the worst.
one of the
fucking
worst
places.
corkscrews and places that could even happen there at Dilla, and like is asleep for I don't know how long, but it wasn't fucking great. And then you go back even further. You go back to Red Bull Straight Rhythm when he corkscrewed himself into the ground, and he's
already has concussion issues before.
I was gonna say he's got a lot of memory. He doesn't remember.
The concussion thing is real interesting because I've had a shit ton of concussions, but I'm I honestly feel like I'm pretty sharp still. Like,
I mean,
my
dude,
memory is probably not great. Probably more from smoking weed, but I didn't say that. Oops. But like all the concussion stuff you normally hear, like night terrors and stuff like that. Like there was one period of, I think my second season on 250s, had night terrors for like a couple months in a row. But like I never have headaches. My memory's good. Like most of the stuff people are like, oh, and it's like I feel fucking fine. You know what I mean? Like I honestly, if I didn't retire from my shoulder being shattered, I probably could have gone a lot longer. So. I don't know. I'm saying fucking RJ, A, do what you want to do, and B, like...
He's a grown-ass man, so we can't tell him what to do, but
your life is so short as it is, let alone when you literally are one of few people in the world that can do what you're doing. Just do it. When you're not enjoying it anymore, which I've never met anybody like that, but when you're not enjoying it anymore, then that's a different story, but like, when you're already on top, fucking ride the wave, baby.
I don't know, man. There's bigger things at play than...
Well, you have a small daughter, so it's a different perspective for both of us. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're still in that single mindset there, buddy. He's legit family and kids. Like he's
Back to Guillaume Perez.
Back to silly season.
Back to Guillaume Perez.